Any problem you have can be broken down into a deeper problem. So this is one of my more important videos because it is a fundamental skill to solve any kind of problem in your life. And I see so much people online or in real life having these struggles, and I'll go into some of these struggles, but go into these struggles about I can't solve this problem and I tried everything and it doesn't work. I guess I'm just stuck forever, which is anything but the truth. Fact is, most people, their problems are not actually problems. They're just results of other problems. They're the consequences, not the actual issue itself. For example, say I can't wake up in the morning. I struggle to get out of bed. I hit my alarm and I hit snooze like 5 times and I'm late to work. So I don't want to get out of bed. And I have no idea why. And you follow the conventional wisdom of like go to bed early, or turn off your phone or technology at night. Don't eat before bed. Don't have caffeine. Take these pills, right? You do all that. It still doesn't work. You still don't want to get out of bed in the morning. You're like, I just don't get it. And people have these problems for years and they just accept it, which is crazy to me. Is you can take that problem and break it down. And that's what very few people actually do. Figure out why the problem is. At some point in your life, you probably had no problem getting out of bed. But then there's a some point or transition period where it became difficult. So this is how you go about this, right? You gotta break it down. Like, why don't I want to get out of bed in the morning? How do I feel? Like, am I anxious or depressed or just tired or lazy? What kind of feeling am I getting when I'm in bed? And then once you figure that out, you can decide like what are you anxious about? What are you depressed? Are there certain thoughts going through your head in the morning? And it can it's really a process of elimination. Like, are you when you wake up, or you just don't want to go to work? Like, is it only during the weekdays or the weekend? Is it during a certain kind of month, or maybe it's when someone else is in the house so you have to deal with, or you have a certain assignment in your head? Like, when is it a problem? When it's not? And you go through this process and you slowly break it down. The truth is, like, why a lot of people have a problem getting out of bed is one, they hate their job, they hate going to school, they just don't want to deal with the world. They just want in bed. It's safe and comfortable, and you hide, and anything wrong with that. But it's an issue when it starts affecting your life, and that's how you start breaking down deeper issue. Like, okay, so maybe you don't go to bed because you hate your job. Why do you hate your job? Most people don't like their job, but why do you hate it so much that you can't get out of bed? Your body and your subconscious is telling you something that your normal consciousness can't even articulate. So why? Are you just afraid of seeing someone, or the work is just grating on you? You want to savor every last second for it, or maybe like you're self sabotaging, or you kind of do wish like you are intentionally late, so you do wish you get in trouble and they get fired. That happens sometimes. That you self sabotage and you don't even realize it. Or, like, are you hiding from, you don't want to deal with responsibilities that, oh, and then that means I have to go to work or I have to do homework or I have to do house chores or outdoor chores, hiding. And that's how you break down the problems. And you can even go further, or you can get to inner game where, like, maybe there's some kind of trauma behind what you're hiding from. You don't want to deal with, say, your spouse or a family member or someone at work, someone in life, or a problem that maybe you have some kind of traumatic event behind it. And when I say traumatic event, I'm not talking about like, oh, like something huge or life changing. I mean something small where your mind, your subconscious will just learn to avoid a certain aspect of your life or a certain emotion. So it's literally doing anything it can to do that. And there's so many other problems that just boil down to inner game or inner dialogue, like dating, work, social life, fitness, entertainment, all this stuff, or bad habits too. That's another huge one. Like, people a lot of times when people go have drug addictions, the reason why like they started or keep going is because they're hiding some kind of pain. They just want to numb it. So when they actually go get rehab, and get it fixed, they usually fall into some other kind of vice. It could be a better vice, like, I would say a food addiction is better than heroin addiction, or it could just be video game addiction. Any kind of like vice that you can think of. And, most of the time, people are just looking at that as the problem itself, while it's really a consequence of the problem. Like, if I'm playing video games 12 hours a day because I don't want to think about the rest of my life because my life is terrible, the problem isn't the video games. That's just a consequence. The problem is that my terrible life. That's the problem, right? Why is it terrible? Why do I feel a certain way? Why do I have these, like, am I hiding? That's the problem itself, which people don't address. And it's not even usually so tangible, too. It's not like, oh, you have to get a better job, you have to get better social relationships. No. A lot of times it comes from the inner game, where just how are you dealing with the world? Like, are you going at it, going out in the world with a positive mindset, or do you actually, are you just have all these toxic shames building up? That's what's preventing you from doing things. That just solves everything. And when I say inner game, I mean your inner dialogue. How do you talk to yourself? Your thoughts. Like, is it positive? Is it uplifting? Is it a strong belief system? Or quite the opposite? Or, you grew up and eventually learned to have a negative belief. You believe you're not good enough, that you can't get what you don't belong, everything's unfair, all this. And this just negatively builds up to you. And that affects other issues of your life where, maybe I don't like the job I'm at, but the issue is I don't believe I can get a better job. So I'm just trying to hide from it. I'm just hiding in bed because I believe that I'm gonna have this job for the rest of my life. So I'm kind of just self-sabotaging, like, how do I get rid of this? Or, like, if I want to ask someone out and I don't feel like I'm good enough, I'll keep putting that off and try to avoid the guilt of not doing it, because just to avoid that toxic shame. My subconscious is subconsciously protecting me. That's what it's kind of designed for. And to be honest, a lot of it is outdated nowadays. Is it's a lot of the fears we have are no longer applicable, right? A lot of it came from, not being kicked out of the tribe or getting killed by an alpha male. But nowadays, we live in a safe environment where there's really not all that much risk. Like, if one person hates us for whatever reason, they reject us, it's not going to be a big deal, right? If the mom and pop store down the street says I'm not allowed there, I can always just go to another store that sells the same thing. Really, we're not really reliant on other people. So this risk aversion, this fear, a lot of it is just completely, like, outdated. So you have to overcome that, because our mental programming is very different from in the environment we are currently in. It's no longer compatible, so you have to overcome that. And if you're able to do that, a lot of these issues will disappear. Like, you no longer have to be scrolling through social media like 3 hours a day every time there's a moment of boredom, because, like, instead of having these bad thoughts of just despair or depression or anxiety, you can relieve 99% of it, not all of it, but 99% of it. So that's not necessary anymore. I used to do that all the time, where I'm just scrolling through these YouTube shorts or TikTok, and I still do it from time to time, but I got better, improving your inner game, your inner dialogue, which is a process. It takes a while. And once you do that, you stop having this need of having to go to your vices all the time. It's relieving, to be quite honest. Relieving not to always be afraid that there's this feeling of doom right behind you, right? And if you stop for one moment and pay attention to it, it's going to kill you. So you don't always have to be distracted. And it's such a feeling of relief. I feel like a lot of people, it's really dwindling. People are not getting that, where they're constantly just fighting this monster of depression or anxiety, and it's just never ending, that they keep trying to fight it off with dopamine. They're just, or serotonin, they're just trying to feel good, right? And they feel like if they don't keep getting those inputs, it's going to take over like a monster, and that's no way to live. And too many people live that way. Broken inner game, and I feel like it's terrible. In that healing the inner game, healing the inner dialogue, the mental point of origin going forward, that's that's the way to go. And I think it's going to take over soon. That more people are going to realize this, get exposed to it, and see it works, and their lives are going to be dramatically changed. Now, almost every problem I believe can go down to inner game problem, but it's in general though, like a lot of people, they have a problem in their life and they just accept that, oh well, it's I can't, I tried everything, so I'm gonna give up. You know, it's the end of the road for me, and that's no way to live. You're giving up. You're dude. You're like 25 and you're giving up. You're gonna live the next 50 years of your life with this problem. It's so sad. It honestly is sad that they just kind of accept that they're going to be like this for the rest of their life. They'll go through infinitely more pain than they would have if they fixed their problems early on. Not easy, but it's so worth it. I'll just write down your problems. I live my life in the belief that any issue I have, I can either get over it or go around it. So far, that's helped me a lot. Thanks for watching.